Carrie here from Second Spring Naturals. I thought I would pop on here today to talk to you a little bit about some of the books that have inspired and motivated me along my journey to entrepreneurship. Books that I read tend to fall into two different categories, where one is more focused on mindset of an entrepreneur and the others are more strategy focused. So we're going to start with the mindset and let's get going. Is one of my favorites and probably one of the first business books that I picked up. Now I happened to grab the green one. I have two of these, and I wanted to actually mention You Are a Badass, the yellow copy, but we can talk about this one too because they go hand in hand. So Jen Sincero, You Are a Badass at Making Money. I love her voice, I love her delivery, I love her approach to not just business but life in general. She has a no nonsense, no holds barred attitude to get out there and get what you want. And a lot of this talks about manifesting what you want in your life. And it really got me started on the road to feeling as though I am finally manifesting my own dreams these days. So at the end of every chapter, while you'll get some of her story, and she's really funny too. You'll get her story, you'll get the things that work for her, definitely the things that did not work for her, and then she'll give you actually some exercises you can do at the end of each to help you move along in your journey. Really well written, she's great, so Jen Sincero is number one. Number two, I love the book, which I'm sure you can relate to, Eat, Pray, Love by Liz Gilbert. So number two is Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic. So it's creative living beyond fear. It's really just pushing past the fear. Fear is one of the biggest things that stops us or stalls us as an entrepreneur. And I really like her perspective. I loved her first one as well. And I have a story about this book too that I'll have to share in another video about how this book actually helped me to meet one of my best friends today. So number two is Liz Gilbert's Big Magic. Number three, again, this is mindset, not so much business at all here, and look at some of the limitations that I may have imposed on myself, is Gretchen Ruben's The Happiness Project. So she really goes through, you can see her writing in her New York City apartment and how she's writing down all of the goals that she has to improve her life, to be happier, to feel happier as a busy working mom. And she tackles each one month at a time, and it builds upon the next. And I just really love this. I ended up writing some blogs around this and my own journey for it that you can find over at Second Spring Naturals. Just click on blog, but this is definitely worth the read. Gretchen Rubin's Happiness Project. Number four is Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. I think this kind of doesn't need any introduction, but it is just, it's spirituality, it's truth, it's power, it's all of the things that you need to kind of get your mind set and get it ready to take on not just a business day, but any day. I would recommend really just that everyone reads this book. So Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now is number four, and he has some, of course, he's been on Oprah and has some podcasts and videos and things you can check out too before getting the book. Number five, this was one of my favorites. I read this last year. I just picked it up and I thought, you know, there are so many things that I can tackle, that I have tackled in my life, so many accomplishments, but I know that sometimes others see me as someone who looks like she's just going to go for it and she'll just do it and she dives in with both feet, and I do. That is true of me, but people don't see the behind the scenes, the fear that sets in, the self-talk that creates limitations and creates our own boundaries, things that we set for ourselves, by ourselves. So I really love this, The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. Shonda Rhimes we all recognize as the writer for Grey's Anatomy and other shows. And she takes you through a year in her life and shows you that she is very much just like you are, in that, yes, she's appears to be wildly successful, and she is wildly successful. However, what about the day-to-day challenges that she faces, that she has to, these hurdles that she has to push herself over? And she realized that she was actually missing out on some things that would allow her to grow more as a person and as a businesswoman, if she, or as a writer I should say, if she were able to step out of her comfort zone. So for 1 year she decided to just say yes to all the things that scared her, and she ended up doing things like public speaking, giving one I would definitely check out, Shonda Rhimes. Okay, so that's number 5. Number 6 is, I don't have a copy of number 6 with me, but number 6 is Power You're Happy, and it actually is up in my library. I just forgot to grab it. But this is by the founder of Pop Sugar. So we know the Pop Sugar website, you can find anything from beauty and fashion advice to fitness tips and videos. So I wanted to know about, I love to know about the stories of females who have gone before me and started their own empires. Whether I start an empire or not remains to be seen. We all have our own goals, but I'd like to see the big stories so that I can live step by step my smaller story right now and feel like, yes, I can do this too, whatever I set my mind to. And Power You're Happy was one of the ways I was able to kind of get the behind the scenes, like how did she do this? How did she overcome this? How did she build her team? How did it become what it is today? Number 7 is Girl Boss. I read this a few years ago by Sophia Amoruso. She is the founder of Nasty Girl, where she was buying vintage clothing and styling it and setting it up on eBay is where she started her business, and then she built this empire that has its own story now as far as her journey, but she really built it into something huge, and she was literally living like in this shed garage type of apartment, starting just from nothing, working. I love the story of her, just working in her bathrobe and her slippers and taking pictures with her phone, trying to put them up on the site, and she really just built it from. Number 8 is She Means Business by Carrie Green, and this is the story of a woman who started her own online business, her first online business at age 20, and just takes you along that journey. You can probably see a theme. I love to learn about the powerful women who have started their own businesses and how they did it. I want to know, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, what worked, what didn't work, and we all learn from each other, which is part of the reason I'm sharing these videos here on YouTube, so that you can see from the mistakes I've made, you can learn as well. Okay, so now we're going to move over into the more strategic approaches to business and the books that I have really enjoyed. So number 10 is The Partnership Charter, and this is by David Gage. If you are considering or are in a partnership right now and you haven't looked into this book, this is definitely something that you need to read. It explains like all of the, not necessarily detail about anything legal, but it explains what you actually do need to do if you're in a partnership, which means you need to have an operating agreement, you need a partnership agreement, you need to have roles set forth to make sure the expectations are set in writing before you begin what one partner is going to do and what the other is meant to do. My business actually started as a partnership, and after a year we parted ways, but we actually started as we were best friends for 30 years, and we're still, and I'm so grateful that we are still very good friends, and we parted ways in, actually this book kind of probably moved us in 2 different directions, and don't take that as a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. I wanted to really get this business set as a business when it started just as a small shop on Etsy with the 2 of us, and when it came to actually putting our roles down and getting a partnership agreement and doing kind of all the legalities behind it, it helped us to both see what we wanted and what we did not want. Number 11 is, oops, sorry about that. Number 11 is What If It Does Work Out by Suzie Moore. So you'll hear the story behind what she has done as a side hustler to start businesses and earn money on the side. This is great for anybody who is a mom who is juggling career and juggling home life, and which I think we all do in different ways. But if you're feeling like you want to narrow the gap between your home and your career and create more time for yourself, this will help you to kind of have that conversation with yourself. And it also answers the question that we always ask ourselves with a question. So the question that we're always asking ourselves is, what if it doesn't work? What if this isn't meant to be? What if I'm doing it wrong? What if it's going to be a big failure? And what the answer is what if it does work out? So anytime I'm feeling down or I'm doubting something, I go to this book. Number 12, this one you have to have. I mean, I like all of these books, but number 12, Tim Ferris, The 4-Hour Workweek. It's called The 4-Hour Workweek for a reason, and he really walks you through how you actually can create the life of your dreams. He gives you different business models that you could approach to starting your own business where you're working for yourself and basically living the dream of freeing up your life to do things that you enjoy, like travel. And he incorporates learning a language every time he travels, and extreme sports. He picks up a sport every time he travels, and just does these wonderful things with his life that you wouldn't be able to do if you're working 9 to 5 or you're working too much in your own business. So what he does is kind of teaches you how to outsource your life a bit so that you can get rid of all of the tasks that you really shouldn't be doing as the CEO or the owner of your business, and focus on the big things, the things that really matter, and you'll find that hours become just shaved off of this. I put a lot of these into practice in my own business. They really do work. He gives you direct links to all of the things that he mentions, and you can actually go to some of his resources, a lot of his resources, and try them out for yourself. 13 is The E-Myth. So this is by Michael Gerber, and I read this, I don't know, probably my second year of business, and it was actually pretty timely. It was when I was taking the business on my own, which was a little bit scary. I wasn't sure how it was going to grow. I needed to rebrand, and there were a lot of things I had to do. And when I picked this up, I picked it up because I just heard I should read it. But it happened that the story was a lot different than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be this heavy hitting, this is what you have to do and this is how you're going to do it, but it was really about the journey of this woman who was very much like me. As I was starting my little soap business, she was starting a bakery that she wanted to grow, and it just goes through all of the kind of mistakes she made along the way, and he walks through kind of, there's like this narrator who is this mentor to her, and that's kind of how it reads, asking her the questions that need to be asked and helping her to get straight along the path of her business journey. And it's actually really good. So The E-Myth, Michael Gerber. Number 14 is Crushing It by Gary Vee. So this one I read a while back, but really anything by Gary Vee is going to just be full of energy, full of impact, and it's going to just kind of give you that heavy hitting approach to getting you off your butt and getting you into your studio or your office or whatever it is that you need to do, and to get things into practice that will grow your business with some strategies involved. So just try any of these out and see, you know, what works for you. I'll put the links down below, and you can check them out on Amazon, see if there's something that you want to read. So 13 books that have inspired me to become I guess the business owner that I am today in my 5th year, as I have grown and transformed this small business into something that is growing literally before my eyes. And I will share all of the tips that I can think of as I learn new things. I'm writing them down so I can just share them here. I've always wanted to share them. I've been a teacher for 20 years, so it's kind of second nature for me to want to share something that's working. So it seemed only natural to really start with the books that I love. So let me know if you have some other books that you would recommend down in the comments, and if you have read any of these and which are your favorites. Again, thanks so much for being here and for listening to this. Another aspect of my business that I am growing is sharing the videos on YouTube, which is definitely stepping out of my comfort zone. So if you would, to help encourage me to keep going, hit the subscribe, hit the like, and I'll be back soon with more kind of tips and tricks.